and welcome to the second module in the Sheets training program. This module discusses essential Sheets features. We will start off with an overview of the training objectives. We'll be introduced to tables in the first lesson for this module. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at autofill, custom list, and smart fill. And finally, we'll discuss number formatting in lesson 8. Let's look at what you can expect from this training module. At the end of this session, you will know how to create tables in Sheets, the features of a table in Sheets, and how to add slices to a table. You will also learn how autofill works in Sheets, as well as how to make use of it. Again, you'll be introduced to custom lists and smart fill. Next, you'll learn about number formatting options available in Sheets, as well as how to make use of them. Let's start things off with tables. In Sheets, you don't explicitly define a table, rather you just outline a range of cells and format it to visually make your table stand out. You can achieve this by adding borders, banded rows, and boldening the header row to make it stand out. The only table you can define using commands on the menu bar is a pivot table. To create a table in Sheets, select the number of rows and columns you want your table to have by dragging the mouse cursor. Click on Borders on the toolbar and select a border type to outline your table. Label your table by providing headers, that is, type in the header names in the first row of your table. You can bolden the header row to make it stand out from the rest of the rows in the table. That's it. That's how you create a table in Sheets. You can further style your table by adding banded rows or removing the borders of the inner rows and columns, among other things. In styling the table, you are only limited by your own imagination and perhaps necessity. Next up, we will take a look at some notes on the features of a table in Sheets. Just like with any other table in Sheets, tables are made up of rows and columns. A row is a horizontal range of cells that run across from the left side of the sheet or table. A column is a vertical range of cells that runs down from the top of the sheet. The first row of the table, which contains headings describing the contents of a column, is called the header row. A single box created by the intersection of a row and column is called a cell. It is a single data point in a table or sheet. A selection of multiple cells that run across a column, row, or a combination of both is called a range. Given that most of you are probably familiar with Excel, you must be wondering if the features you love to use are also available in Sheets, or at least they are alternatives. One of such features is structured references. Let's take a look at how this is implemented in both cases. It is true that Excel and Sheets are the most widely used spreadsheet programs, and although the two share some similarities in their basic functionality, there are still some differences between them, and one notable difference is structured references. In Excel, you can reference data in a table called a data table by using the format table name, column name, or at column name as an alternative to the A1 or R1C1 format. This makes referencing easier and more intuitive. This way of referencing is, however, not available in Sheets, as the concept of data table is not yet available in Sheets. You will therefore have to stick to the A1 or R1C1 referencing formats. Now let's take a look at how to make use of table slicers in Sheets with a series of activities. First, we'll learn to add slicers. Then, we'll learn to edit the slicers we added, save our slicer selections, and lastly delete the slicers. First up is how to add slicers. To add a slicer, click anywhere within the table you want to filter. On the menu bar, click on Data and select Add a Slicer from the options. A pane will open up on the right as the slicer is created from there. You can choose the column you want the slicer to use in filtering your table. Each slicer can filter using only one column at a time. So if you want to add more columns to be used in filtering the table, you will have to add more slicers. Now, click on the slicer and choose your filter conditions. You can filter by condition, where you can either choose from a list of predefined conditions or create one of your own. You can also filter by values, where you can uncheck data points to hide them, leaving only the data points you want to see. By default, all data points are selected. When you are done filtering, click on OK to apply the changes. Next, let's look at how you can edit a slicer you've added. If you would like to change the specifics of a slicer, such as the data range, filtering column, or even title, first click on the slicer to select it. Click on More, that is the 3 vertical dots at the right corner of the slicer, and select Edit Slicer from the list of options. This opens the slicer pane on the right hand side, where you can change the details of the slicer. To change the filter options, click on the filter icon and apply the new criteria you wish to use. Click on OK to apply the changes when you're done. You can share the filters you apply through the added slicers together with the spreadsheet, so that those you share the sheet with will immediately see the filtered data when they access the document. To save the filters you apply, click on the slicer to select it. Click on the More icon that appears on the right of the slicer, and from the list of options, choose Set Current Filters as default, and that's it. Finally, let's look at how to delete a slicer you added. First, click on the slicer to select it. You can then press the Delete or Backspace key to delete it. Optionally, you can click on the More icon and select Delete Slicer from the options to delete it. Here are a couple of things to take note of about slicers. First, this was mentioned earlier. You can use only one column per slicer. To filter by more than one column, add multiple slicers. Second, slicers apply to all charts and pivot tables in a sheet that use the same data set. Third, slicers don't apply to formulas in a sheet that use the same data set. This means that you can't filter your table by a column with values that are returned from a formula, such as a totals column. Fourth, if you add multiple slicers that use the same source data, make sure the range of each slicer is the same as the others. And fifth, a slicer's filter selections remain private and unsaved unless you set them as default. So, what have we learned so far? We have learned how to create tables in Sheets, as well as the various features of a table in Sheets. We also learned how to add slicers, edit the added slicers, and save our filters, and delete the slicer. Let's move on to the next lesson.